Okay, this is tarot lesson number 13, and I'd like to begin with a comment from Laurie, who said, in some cases, the tarot reading cause the reality? So as if the questioner hears the answer and then does everything in their power to make it come about and to make the reading right. And that may be a question that you've asked yourself in some kind of a way off and on. Does the reading make things happen? So I'd like to make 2 points. One is a general one. Let's see, we're sitting somewhere and I say to you, I'd like to learn Spanish. And you say to me, that's a good idea, because then you can talk to people in Spanish, you can watch Spanish movies and understand what they're talking about. And also learning a second language is good because it makes you behave more intelligently. Or you might say to me, you don't know anybody who's Spanish, you're never going to be able to speak it to anybody, so what really is the point of doing it? So if you tell me it's a good idea and I go off and learn Spanish, did your answer in some way cause me to want to learn Spanish or to become successful at speaking Spanish or not? And I don't think it really applies that way. So I don't think it's a cause between, because somebody can, it can work the other way around as well. I say, am I going to get the promotion or am I going to pass the examination? And you say no, pick cards and say no. And I can think, yes, I am. So the opposite can happen as well, as you could tell me, no, I'm going to fail the exam. And I think, okay, well, I'm going to fail the exam. So I think there's other things going on. So because this is tarot lesson number 13, and the 13th card is the death card, which is endings and beginnings and transformation, I thought maybe I'll tell you something that might change how you go about looking at things. And so here's my piece of paper, if you can look at it from the side here. So here we've got the sun, right? And we've got the earth. This is not to scale. And then we've got the moon, okay? And so we orbit the sun and the moon orbits us and so on. But you know there's a dark side of the moon, that because of the revolution around the sun, the dark side of the moon is always facing away from the sun. So if you're from the West, you may have heard people say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And that can make you think that something with power, there was nothing, and suddenly there was something. So what's really going on, though, with let there be light? Because maybe what was going on, or what we're being told, is at a certain point the earth, there was a dark side of the earth, and then in the same way there's a dark side of the moon, there was a dark side of the earth. And so let there be light can mean the earth begins to revolve. So let there be light doesn't mean there was nothing. Now there's light, now there's something. It can mean there was movement, but now there's a different kind of movement. And there's spinning going on, and there's revolution around an axis. And that can be why there was no light before, but now there seems to be light. And I think this means that in spite of what we've been taught and in spite of what we think, everything already exists. And it's not like there's nothing and we're going to create something where there was nothing before. And in the same way, when somebody wants to know, am I going to get the job, or should I learn Spanish, or, is my ex going to come back to me? I think the answer already exists in some way. And all we can do, or what happens with a tarot reading is, let's say we do a yes-no spread. We pick a card, And if the card is upright, it means yes. So am I going to get the promotion? Yes, because you've got energy and enterprise. It's time for a new start. Am I going to get the job? The Ace of Baton's upside down. No, because it's not the right time for a new beginning. Or you haven't got the enthusiasm or the desire to get the promotion that you think you've got. And so you're in a tarot reading, what you're doing is you are giving the questioner information or things to think about, which will either make them go, well, it can make them still undecided, but it's like you're emphasizing or de-emphasizing things that already exist within the mind of the questioner. So you can do, let's say, 3 cards. So will this happen? 1, 2, 3. So will it happen? And then we go, yes, it will, because the card is upright. And because of and you look at the card itself, it's going to be good, you'll enjoy it. I'm saying it will because the question's about, is it going to happen in the future? So yes, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to be glad you did it. There's new beginning, new friends, new associations, new companionship, new reason to celebrate just by looking at the picture on the card. At the same time, we've got the Empress upside down. So this is all very good, but there's a but. And the Empress, that can be you or somebody else involved in the situation, isn't going to be quite into it the way you are. And because it's the Empress, it could be a woman. So again, it depends on who's asking the question. So if it's a woman asking the question, yes, you enjoy it, but deep down you really know it's not for you, because it's a major trump and it's the Empress, right? So in some way, we're thinking that if the Empress had been upright and this had been upside down, then you're not quite into it, but you know deep down that it's right for you. Because that happens to us sometimes. We do things that we are not that enthusiastic about, but we know it's a good idea and that we'll benefit from it in the long run, or things will be better and we'll be glad that we did it. Whereas it's the opposite kind of story here with the 4 of Batons upright and the Empress upside down. So if it's the questioner, then you are not that, it's not quite what you're looking for. Maybe it's got its good points because it's a 4 of Batons upright, but it's not something you're going to stick with forever. And let's say the 3rd card is the King of Batons. So this can mean, if it's a woman asking the question, she doesn't want it, but the husband does or the boyfriend does, because it's a king. Because we've got a man here and a woman here. So we're dealing with either a couple or 2 different people, or it's the comfort-seeking side of you doesn't want to get involved, whereas the enterprising, adventurous side of you does. And so the answer is a maybe. Yeah, because the first card and the last card are upright, and that's 2 yeses. And the middle card is upside down, that means 2 no's. So is it a good idea? Maybe. So but you're giving the questioner, the questioner knows all the details and knows the people and their feelings and what their past experience has been in that particular area. So you're not telling them what they already know, but you're maybe pointing out things that they haven't thought of, things they should give, maybe things they've forgotten about, or things that it's worth thinking about so that they're more informed and they're better able to make a correct decision. So is it a good idea? You can't always give them a yes or a no. Sometimes you have to say maybe. And so the Empress, take the Empress as the, not lazy, but the comfort-loving, pleasure-seeking side of you doesn't want it. But the King and because the King is Batons and the suit is the same as well, then there's a part of you that really wants it and would benefit and would get a lot of satisfaction from it, and you would end up in a position of power in some way. So maybe you develop confidence and you develop an optimistic outlook if you go ahead with it, even though there's a part of you can't be bothered or doesn't want it. And so I think what you do with a yes-no spread is you keep it simple. You just pick 3 cards, because the questioner already knows everything, or a part of the questioner already knows everything. So you're not trying you're not starting off with nothing and turning it into something, is the point that I'd like to make. In the same way that let there be light doesn't mean light was suddenly created. So in the same way, because the questioner already knows the answer, maybe doesn't want to admit it, or wants confirmation, or doesn't want to go with what they know they ought to do to go with. If you keep it simple with 3 cards for a yes, no, and you turn the card and you talk about it. If it's upright, yes, do it, or because, and you look at the nature of the card to explain why it's a good idea. If the card is upside down, you explain, no, don't do it, or no, it's not a good idea because. And then you talk about what's shown in the card or what the suit is. So if it's cups upside down, then your emotions won't be with you, or you're going to be crying a lot, or you're not going to want to do it. Whereas if it's batons upside down, then you don't have the energy to get it done. So I think the point I'd like to make is the reading doesn't cause anything. The reading can make the situation more clear for the questioner, and give them help in making up their mind. But I think what we do is we keep it simple. And if you're going to do a yes-no spread, pick 3 cards. You don't need to develop fancy spreads to apparently get more information. So I think what we do is we keep it simple. And I've run out of things to say. So today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll see you in a few days. Once again, thanks for watching. Talas, if you're watching. Talas made good points about the magician being 1 and the strength card being 11. Or if the strength card is 11, and you've got a sign of infinity over the head of the magician and the woman in the strength card. And it's a good observation, and that's the kind of thing where you write that down and then you go back to it a couple of days later or a week later and see if you can take another step with that information, rather than think, okay, I have to do something stupendous or magnificent with this one idea. Take it one step at a time and go back to the idea, and then take another small step and leave it, and then go back a few days later and take another small step, and you end up miles away from where you began and knowledgeable about what a card or a combination of cards is going to represent. So thank you, Talis, for that comment, and we'll see you in a few days. Okay, bye-bye.